everyone. Welcome to House News. In this episode, we will present to you the latest information coming from the House of Representatives of the Republic of Indonesia. And before we get started, here are some news headlines for you today. BKSAP of the House explored investment cooperation with Egypt, recognizing it as a production hub for Indonesian companies targeting the Middle East and North Africa. Commission 1 received a visit from the South Korean Embassy to discuss potential strategic cooperation and support for Indonesia's government programs. The chair of BKSAP highlighted the need for academic input to strengthen the strategic vision, especially in addressing environmental issues and green energy transition for a sustainable future. Commission 10 encourages Anti-Bullying Task Force to adopt proactive strategies in addressing bullying in schools and communities. The Chinese New Year 2025 is just around the corner. The excitement of this celebration is not only limited to aspects of Chinese culture, but also an exciting moment for everyone. Vice Chairperson of BKSAP of the House, Ravindra Erlangga, emphasized the importance of strengthening Indonesia's economic and investment relations with Egypt. Indonesia currently enjoys a trade surplus with Egypt from exports of palm oil products and coffee.
Indonesia's ambassador to Egypt plans to establish a coffee community to boost the absorption of Indonesian coffee products in Egypt. Furthermore, Ravindra highlighted Indonesia's investment in Egypt has reached 19 trillion rupiah in 2024. The investment are focused on the food industry and automotive sector with a special focus on tire manufacturing. Ravindra hoped these investments are expected to be a manufacturing hub for expansion into various countries in the Middle East and Africa.
Indonesia banyak melakukan investasi di Mesir ternyata. Dari 2018 sampai 2020-an, investasi Indonesia sudah lebih dari 50 juta US dollar untuk sektor seperti makanan, sektor otomotif, terutama ban. Berharap dengan adanya di Mesir ini, investasi Indonesia ini perusahaan Indonesia ini bisa menjangkau MENA region, Middle East and North Africa. Jadi menjadi basis manufacturing untuk ekspansi ke region MENA.
Indonesia and Egypt have maintained a strong diplomatic relationship for decades, marked by mutual support in various international forums. This partnership not only strengthens economic cooperation, but also increases cultural and educational exchanges. From Cairo, Egypt, Mahir Pratama, TVR Parliament reports.
Commission 1 of the House emphasized the need for stronger cooperations between Indonesia and South Korea across various sectors. This includes education, culture, sports, and also the defense industry.
Chairperson of Commission 1 of the House Utut Adianto highlighted the importance of strengthening bilateral ties with South Korea. He proposed expanding scholarship programs, enhancing cultural collaboration, and launching a joint soccer training concept involving the national teams of the two countries. In addition, Utut hoped for more cooperation in the defense sector, as South Korea has become a global leader in the export of advanced weapon systems.
Kalau kita bersedia untuk menengok industri pertahanan mereka, khususnya kapal selam. Menurut Korea, pembeli utamanya yang terbesar adalah Indonesia. Kalau masih ada kekurangan, segera direparasi. Yang jelas dari konsep pembelian ini ada TOT dan juga ada alih teknologi. Perihal apakah kita bisa bekerja sama dengan PT PAL, itu yang nanti coba kita rundingin ke depan.
Meanwhile, member of Commission 1 of the House, Farah Putri Nahlia, stated Indonesia's close relationship with South Korea was marked by the attendance of the South Korean Prime Minister at the inauguration of Indonesia's President and Vice President. She added Indonesian people have embraced Korean culture, which continues to grow in popularity. Therefore, Farah urged the South Korean government to implement visa-free access for Indonesian tourists traveling to the land of ginseng.
Bagaimana agar kedepannya Indonesia ini bisa mendapatkan free visa ke Korea atau setidaknya visa on arrival? Karena sebaliknya turis-turis dari Korsel yang datang ke Indonesia itu sudah diberikan visa yang gratis.
Arif Naka, TVR Parliament, reports.
Chairperson of the Committee for Interparliamentary Cooperation of the House stated that Indonesia is highly ambitious in achieving NDC, or Nationally Determined Contribution to Reduce Greenhouse Gas Emissions.
Chairperson of BKSAP of the House, Mardani Alisera, pointed out the inclusion of the Climate Change Management Bill in the 2025 Priority National Legislative Program represent Indonesia's initial step in addressing climate change issues. He explained several existing laws related to climate change still need improvement. These changes are necessary for the government to set higher NDC targets.
Dan kita termasuk negara yang ambisius, dan kita bersyukur DPR dengan serangkaian produk legislasinya betul-betul menjadi dasar bagi pemerintah untuk bisa mendapatkan target NDC yang lebih tinggi ketimbang yang ditargetkan. Undang-undang perubahan iklim kita sedang terus disempurnakan, termasuk diantaranya undang-undang tentang forestry, undang-undang konservasi hayati, dan lain-lain yang dengannya mudah-mudahan kita makin kuat.
Vice Chairperson of BKSAP of the House, Rafindra Erlangga, highlighted agreements reached by Indonesia at the COP29 forum in Azerbaijan will be the basis for drafting the climate change bill. One key point is Indonesia's intention to revise its NDC targets to reduce greenhouse gas emissions.
Salah satu dasar untuk menyusun undang-undang perubahan iklim ini. Salah satunya target NDC Indonesia. Kita ingin menurunkan emisi gas rumah kaca kita dengan 31% tanpa bantuan internasional dan up to 43% dengan bantuan pendanaan internasional.
From Depok, West Java, Elisa Purba, TVR Parliament, reports.
When we return, we will bring you more updates from Commission 10 of the House. Stay tuned to House News. The Ministry of Social Affairs reveals that 40% of suicide cases in Indonesia are linked to bullying. The statistic has shown that the physiological and social impact of bullying has on victims.
Member of Commission 10 of the House, Gamal Al Bin Said, urges to combat bullying in school through the curriculum. He believes anti-bullying action should be part of every school culture and can be effective if teachers are properly trained to handle bullying.
Termasuk dimasukkan dalam sebuah kurikulum. Tidak ada salahnya ketika kita mewajibkan semua sekolah membahas terkait bullying sebagai salah satu instrumen wajib dalam proses pendidikan sehingga awareness terhadap bullying bisa meningkat. Dan tentu ini semua akan kembali menjadi tanggung jawab guru serta orang tua. Oleh karena itu, kita tidak akan bisa membangun pendidikan ketika kita tidak memilih guru-guru orang-orang terbaik menjadi seorang guru.
Meanwhile, Vice Chairperson of Commission 10 of the House, Mahfudz Abdurrahman, encouraged schools to establish communication with parents to deal with problems that usually occur in schools, such as bullying.
Nah, makanya ekosistem pendidikan itu memang harus sinergis dan harus kolaboratif. Sekolah di satu sisi, terus kemudian guru, orang tua, lingkungan, dan sebagainya. Nah, ini juga harus melakukan sinergi dan kolaborasi.
From Makassar, South Sulawesi, Dwi Utomo, TVR Parliament, reports.
Commission 7 of the House appreciates the government's efforts to prepare an economic stimulus package of 38 trillion rupiah. This step is intended to reduce the impact of the 12% VAT increase and protect public purchasing power.
Chairperson of Commission 7 of the House, Saleh Partaunan Daulay, considered the government's decision to allocate an economic stimulus package of 38 trillion rupiah to address the effect of the 12% VAT increase a thoughtful and strategic choice. He explained the package included rice aid for 16 million households, a 50% discount on electricity rates, relief for labor-intensive industries, income tax exemption for workers earning below 10 million rupiah, social assistance, and many other subsidy programs.
Keputusan Prabowo untuk menaikkan PPN 12% hanya pada barang mewah, ternyata tidak hanya berhenti sampai di situ. Presiden Prabowo juga memikirkan bagaimana agar dampak sosial, politik, ekonomi yang ditimbulkan oleh kenaikan ini tidak sampai mengganggu kehidupan sosial kemasyarakatan kita. Ini menandakan bahwa Pak Prabowo itu memikirkan betul, memang ada kenaikan untuk PPN 12%, tetapi dia tidak mau kalaupun misalnya ekses daripada kenaikan itu bisa mengganggu stabilitas kehidupan sosial, politik, dan ekonomi masyarakat kita di luar mereka yang mampu.
Furthermore, Saleh mentioned President Prabowo Subianto has decided on a fair and pro-people tax policy. With this policy, all citizens have equal opportunity and access to advance. Andri TVR Parliament reports.
The Indonesian House of Representatives collaborates with Citizen OS to hold the 4th Indonesia Opinion Festival. This collaboration aims to provide a platform for the public to engage in a more open and transparent democracy.
Vice Speaker for Industry and Development Saan Mustafa described this collaboration as a visionary step toward enhancing public participation. He emphasized creating an open and constructive platform for dialogue is essential to ensuring meaningful public engagement in shaping policies.
Festival aspirasi ini sekali lagi membuktikan bahwa yang namanya DPR itu sangat memberikan ruang bagi seluruh warga masyarakat untuk menyampaikan berbagai kepentingan dan aspirasinya terkait dengan berbagai persoalan yang kita hadapi.
In addition, the chairperson of Public Aspiration Body, Neti Prasetyani, stated the collaboration between the House and Citizen OS represent the House's commitment to be more open, aspirational, and responsive, especially in engaging youth in Indonesia's political arena.
Saya yakin ini juga menjadi salah satu langkah yang konstruktif bagi kemajuan demokrasi kita, bagi sistem perpolitikan kita dengan melibatkan kaum muda dalam isu-isu politik ya. Mengingat hari ini ada semacam disparitas atau kesenjangan antara pemuda dengan isu-isu politik yang sedang dibahas di berbagai tingkatan ya, baik di DPR RI maupun di lembaga-lembaga legislatif di daerah.
Dodi TVR Parliament reports.
After the break, we will have more interesting information for you. Stay tuned to House News. The 2025 Lunar New Year is approaching, marking the beginning of the Year of the Wood Snake in the Chinese calendar. This festival is always filled with enthusiasm, spirit, and meaningful traditions.
One of the highlights this year is this collaboration of the Year of the Wood Snake, combining the wisdom and calmness of the snake with the element of wood, which symbolizes growth. This combination is believed to offer opportunities for self-reflection and wise progress. The peak of the Lunar New Year celebration, Cap Gomeh, will take place on February 12, 2025, marking the end of the festivities. In Indonesia, Cap Gomeh is celebrated with cultural activities such as lion dances or barongsai, traditional dances, and communal prayers to seek blessing in the new year. The term Imlek itself originates from the Hokkien language meaning month and calendar. In addition to welcoming the new year, Imlek is time for family gatherings and prayers for good fortune and prosperity in coming year. Various traditions are observed during Imlek, such as cleaning the house, decorating with red lanterns symbolizing luck, and serving special New Year dishes. All these activities aim to welcome the new year with positive hopes. In Indonesia, the 2025 Lunar New Year celebration will be marked by unique events across different cities. This festival features cultural attractions like lion dances and traditional dances involving many participants.
The Lunar New Year is a yearly celebration in China, welcoming the arrival of spring and the start of a new year in the traditional Chinese calendar. This festive occasion, including the Lantern Festival, is celebrated worldwide with vibrant tradition and cultural events.
Every country in the world has a unique way of celebrating the Lunar New Year. Despite different tradition, they all share the spirit of welcoming the new year according to the lunar calendar. Here are some ways different countries celebrate the Lunar New Year. In China, the Lunar New Year is celebrated with foods that hold special meanings such as glutinous rice balls, moon-shaped rice cakes, and dumplings. The food is believed to bring good luck. Serving fish on New Year's Eve is an important tradition because the word fish in Chinese sounds similar to abundance. The festival usually ends with a colorful lantern festival featuring parades, dances, and fireworks. In the Philippines, the Chinese community celebrates the Lunar New Year by visiting Binondo, the oldest Chinatown in the world. Streets come alive with lion and dragon dances as well as cheerful red decoration. A popular Lunar New Year treat is tikoy, a sticky rice cake that symbolizes family togetherness. In Vietnam, the Lunar New Year is celebrated by decorating home with kumquat trees and peach blossoms. Many people travel to their hometowns to celebrate with family, creating a holiday travel surge similar to Indonesia. The tradition includes serving green beans rice cakes, symbolizing hope and good fortune. While each country celebrates the Lunar New Year in its own way, the core spirit is universal, that is to welcoming the new year with joy, hope, and meaningful traditions.
Some areas in Jakarta are famous for their lively Chinese New Year celebrations. The streets are filled with busy markets selling everything from traditional foods to red decorations.
As the Lunar New Year approaches, many interesting destinations offer festive experiences. If you are in Jakarta and surrounding areas, you don't have to travel far to enjoy the celebration. Here are some top spots to celebrate the Chinese New Year. The first destination is Pasar Lama in Tangerang, Banten, which is known as a Chinatown area offering a variety of foods. In its traditional market, you can find iconic Chinese food delicacies like kue keranjang and srikaya bread. The food area around the place become even lively at night with many options for meal, snack, and drinks. Iconic sites include the Bon Tek Bio Temple, a popular place of worship in this area. Wihara Dharma Bhakti, also known as Kim Tek Le, is the oldest temple in Jakarta, built in 1650 by Chinese Lieutenant Qui Hon. Located on Jalan Kemenangan in Petak 9, West Jakarta, this temple remains a center for Chinese New Year celebration and other Chinese holidays. Even though there is no special prayer this year, the temple will be open from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m., allowing visitors to experience the festive atmosphere. No celebration of Chinese New Year in Jakarta will be complete without mentioning Petak 9. This traditional market in West Jakarta offers a wide range of Chinese New Year essentials, including cakes, candies, and other treats. Legendary food stalls in the area include Kopi Taki, Bakmi Amoy, Rujak Shanghai Encim, Pak Karim's Cincong Fan, and many more.
And that's House News for today. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.